The real IDs are coming, and if you haven't been to the DMV and you're going in the next year, it's going to be hard for you to do that. So what is the real ID? Why is it a good thing possibly, or a bad thing possibly? Why do we have it? Is it just a Nevada thing? And why should you care? Let's start the video right now. Boom, the video has started. No fancy intros. My name's Steven. This is a car video, and I'm not leaving Las Vegas. And I do this video so you guys get views on the city of Las Vegas. Maybe a little bit different than what you're going to see on all the tourist blogs. If you like it, make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and then comment below. Are you planning on boarding a nuclear facility in the next year after October 2020? No, I know it's bizarre, but just stay with me here. Are you planning on entering a nuclear facility? So the real ID is something that the Congress passed, the Senate voted on, and the president signed into law in October of 2005. It's not a Nevada thing. And the real ID stands as a way and a measure to be able to vet people and make sure that they are who they say they are when they get on airplanes, go into nuclear facilities, or enter federal buildings. Yeah, that's where the nuclear facility thing comes from. And I know a lot of you guys are planning on going to do your research at a nuclear facility, so you have to have the real ID. But if you're planning on getting on an airplane and even just flying from Los Angeles to Las Vegas, come October 1st, 2020, you're going to need to have one of these things because that's the deadline. After that, you can get on an airplane, you can enter a nuclear facility, you can go to the IRS building or to the federal courts if you had to do anything like that with a federal agency, but you're going to need to provide other documentation that you can get out of the way by just going to the DMV and getting a real ID. So real IDs are simple. It's a regular Nevada DMV identification card or driver's license, but it has a gold star on it. That's right, we're back in primary school where you get a gold star, you get a silver star, and you need to study harder, right? That's the way it goes. So you get a gold star on your ID, and you get this by going to the DMV, getting a new or renewing your license or your identification card, and providing a few different things. You need to provide 2 pieces of mail to prove that you live here, or a lease rental mortgage agreement proves you're a resident of Nevada. The second thing can be a utility bill from any of the major utilities, like you can get one from the cable company, the gas company, the electric company, the water company. If you do all that stuff, you prove who you say you are, plus a birth certificate or a US passport or a naturalization certificate or a green card or a permanent residency card, you're in the real ID club. Everything's good. If you don't provide those things and you just renew your license like normal, you're going to find that you can't do those other things. You can't get in on an airplane domestically. You can't enter those nuclear facilities that are so important to you. You also can't go into the federal buildings unless, oh, that's okay, unless you're carrying a US passport, a birth certificate, a green card, or an immigration document. So that's what that is. And it was not easy for us to get our real ID. It was a pain in the butt. They started issuing them in 2014. About a year later, I had to go to the DMV to renew my driver's license. And so I'm sitting in the DMV. I get up to the counter after waiting a very long time because I didn't make an appointment online because they were a mess back then. And they're better now, by the way. I showed up and I apparently missed one piece of something. I don't know what it was. So I had to go back home, get back in line at the DMV and show them a gas bill, a lease agreement, my green card, and I also had to show them my birth certificate for some reason from Canada, even though the green card should cover it. And I also had to obviously show them what did I cover? I think I covered everything. When my wife went in, it was a little bit easier because we already knew the ropes, so we showed everything that we needed to show for her. And then the second time, 4 years later, when my ID expired, they were nice enough to give me a nice long, I believe it's a 7 or a 10-year driver's license with the real ID already on it. Even though we didn't know any better, we brought all of our stuff again to prove who we were, and they said, no, you're in the system. You've already fed the beast. You're good to go. Here's your renewal. And here's your eye test, and you're not legally blind yet, although I'm pretty blind, and have a good day. And that was it. So yeah, it was a pain for us to get the real IDs, that's for sure. So now's the part of the video where I editorialize a little bit. So my opinion on the real ID, I'm kind of like not a big, huge fan of government oversight. But there is something to be said about making sure that everybody who's walking through the door, getting a state or a federal issued piece of identification, can kind of prove who they say they are. I mean, back in the day, the DMV was basically walk into the DMV, show them something with your name on it, and get a driver's license. You didn't really have to be vetted. Then they switched to, you know, facial recognition technology. So if you went in to try to get an ID that was in somebody else's name, they'd take your picture, and then they would know that it wasn't you, and then they would call the guards out and you'd end up in prison or something like that. And then we switched to the government is now printing them up in northern Nevada, where Carson City and the head of government for the state is located, and you're getting a piece of paper and waiting for your license to come back to you in the mail. And now we have the Real ID as an extra layer. It is a pain in the butt though. I mean, if you want to get on an airplane, you want to fly places, you don't want to bring important documents like passports because you're just flying across the country. But it's a good thing because, you know, my wife explained she lived in Guam back in the day, and you had a lot of tourists from Korea and Japan who would go to Guam, be there for a while because they're on like a 6-month visa, get a driver's license, decide to take a trip to the United States, and now you have people that don't really have the proper documents flying into the country, boarding a domestic flight. And under the old system of things, it was a lot easier for the super duper bad guys who do crazy 9/11 like things to actually get those kinds of documents. So at least we have an extra layer of protection to the identification onion right there. Yeah, it's a good thing to know that who you're dealing with is who you're dealing with. And even if you don't want to get a real ID, you can still get a normal ID. It still allows you to get a drink at a bar, go to a bank, open a bank account. It still allows you to do all the regular things, except for, again, you can't get in those nuclear facilities that are so important to you. You can't go to the government buildings, and you can't go ahead and board a domestic flight unless you bring your passport, birth certificate, or an immigration document, all these different things. So you ask yourself, is it important for you to get a real ID? Probably. If you decide to go to the DMV for anything in the future, I recommend heavily that you rely on their online appointment system, which is at dmvmv.com, I believe, or .gov. I don't know. Just look it up online. Make that appointment online. You'll be in and out within an hour. Otherwise, you're going to go to the DMV. The 6 to 7 hour wait is going to be a horrendously long wait. And the DMV is like, as long as you get in and you have an appointment, we're going to see you that day. But you might be here for 12 hours. And I've heard horror stories of people in Nevada, in Las Vegas specifically, getting out of the DMV at 9 o'clock. The DMV's been closed for 4 hours and they're still waiting in line because they do serve everybody when they're there, when the door is closed. So getting a real ID, those are the stats, those are the facts. If this video served you well, share it somewhere. Let everybody else that you know here in the Silver State, the Battle-Born State, know that on October 1st, 2020, you're going to need one of these things. Leave a comment below. How often do you board nuclear submarines? It's a bizarre comment, so if you don't have an answer, comment on something else. Like, share, subscribe to videos. Thanks for watching my YouTube channel. Car video. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.